Looking for music that lifts your spirit and fills your heart? Experience the powerful sound of the Tabernacle Choir at Temple Square. Now streaming on all your favorite music platforms. Find the Tabernacle Choir on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, Amazon Music, and Pandora. Let the music of the Tabernacle Choir at Temple Square inspire you today and every day. Whether you're at home, in the car, or on the go, enjoy the beauty of their world-renowned sound anytime. The Tabernacle Choir at Temple Square, streaming now.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Scotty Scheffler, what are you doing in that hillside in the weeds? Sounds different when they call it the gorse, doesn't it? I don't know what that means. To me, it just means they're in the weeds. He's in the tall grass.
So what you're saying is these international sports should adopt American language. That's what you're saying, aren't you?
That's why I don't say. That's why I don't say kitten boots.
Right.
But I do say nil because it irritates you.
No, you do it because you want to think. I'm surprised you don't do a fake European accent when you do it.
Then why don't I say pitch? Oh, that's so funny you mentioned that. So Nate and I were watching this like 10 years ago, maybe 15, I don't even know.
Go 20,
watching,
what the hell?
No, it wasn't 20 because I wasn't calling RSL games. It was in the early days of me calling RSL games. And it's very much, well, he's and people seem more comfortable with it now, but it's so American, this is the right way to do it. And then we're listening to some English guy, and a guy scores a goal, and he goes, sublime! And I'm like, if I said sublime, Twitter would explode. People would be totally out of their minds. Sublime! When someone scores a goal?
No, not you, because you're so adorable. You can get away with it.
No. Nate actually tried that line of thing. I was like,
everybody
no
loves
way.
you.
And then he started laughing. No, in that era.
You are the least offensive guy working with the most offensive guy.
What are we, coordinators? We're football coordinators. All right, DJ and PK, it's time to talk Open Championship with BT.
This Open Championship update is presented by Copper Rock, where the pros play on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Brian Taylor and Bob Casper's appearances this week are brought to you by Mountain America Credit Union, Mountain & Supply, Black Desert Resort, Hoops Vision, and Uinta Golf. Brian Taylor, good morning.
Good morning, boys. How we doing?
We're doing well, Brian. I feel like I'm watching miniature golf. I mean, I know it's the Open Championship. It's literally the farthest thing away from miniature golf. But Bryson DeChambeau just putted up the roller coaster, down the other side. And I got to say, it was a great putt. He got within a foot of the hole. It was fantastic because that's a putt. Some of us would have putted. It would have gone up the hill and rolled back to us, and others would have rolled it 20 feet past the hole. So well done by him. But this is just completely different, and the mental side of golf is so important. And I just wonder for the U.S. players who are playing that Parkland golf, just how wacky it is to go and play this and how crazy it is and how much it must play with their minds.
Yeah, I mean, it's different, right? We talked about it coming into the week, and, you've got so many options. And this is what we set up, right? It's like the golf course being this firm and dry and fast is going to set up for some spectacular shots. So you're going to see guys hitting putts like that. You're going to see guys chipping it. You're going to see them, hitting irons off the tee, carrying drivers over bunkers. You're just going to see some kind of wild, wacky stuff. And guys are able to get creative. And I think that's the best entertainment when you can watch these guys get creative. It also creates some serious disasters. I mean, Justin Rose is a big story coming in this week. And, it's clear that it's not going to be a nice feel-good story for Justin this week, where he returns where he played as an amateur as a 17, 18-year-old back 17 years ago. And he's, last I saw, he was 5-6 over par, and he was hitting half his fairways and half his greens. And it just goes to show that if you don't keep it in play, you're going to get in trouble. But, yeah, Bryson is an interesting story. That right now with him tied for the lead has got to be the story of the day. The big stat from Justin Ray, who's a big golf stat guy, was that since the first Masters in 1934, no multi-major champion under the age of 40 has missed the cut in all four majors in a season, and Bryson was coming in here 0 for 3. So looks like at least so far he's doing what he needs to do to not only avoid the missed cut, but put himself there in contention as he's tied for the lead at 4 under par. So that's a big story. We haven't seen very good golf out of Bryson so far this year, and he's handling it pretty well.
Yeah, and there's a few guys at under 4. Is that what you're looking at as far as first day scores? Because there's still obviously a good chunk of the field that is just about to get started.
Yeah, I think the wind is going to be up just a little bit, but again, it could calm down as the evening goes on. It's been fairly benign to this point in time. In fact, you know what's interesting about the wind is we always talk about, when it gets crazy whipping, it is obviously a factor in the defense for the golf course. But when it's just blowing 10, 15 miles an hour, it actually helps the players in the sense that when you're looking out and you're trying to shape a shot into a green, you can play a cut and have the wind hold it and it'll land a little softer. You can play a draw into a cut wind and have it hold and play a little softer. Or if you need a little extra, you can ride the wind. So the wind actually helps, and it's a factor that you use to get around these golf courses. Now, when it's just absolutely howling 40 miles an hour sideways, it becomes a major deterrent, and it becomes even more of a hazard, if you will, the wind. So far, the conditions have been absolutely ideal for scoring. What's kind of surprised me so far is it looks like there's a lot more grain or stickiness to the greens than even the fairways. And that's kind of opposite of what we play over here in the States. Usually the fairways are a little bit longer and grabbier than the greens, and the greens are a little slicker and smoother. And I think they look like they're putting smooth enough. They just seem to be a little bit sticky for how dried out they are, and a little bit slower. And so that's why you're seeing some of these guys that, hit really good putts and they just come up a roll or two short. But yeah, I think so far it's been an absolute great start to this thing.
There are good golfers who don't play in the U.S. much, but this is really cut out for them. They play in Europe a lot, and they're really good, and so they win, and we don't know who they are. They're just anonymous to us. And we were doing the draft, and I was looking for those guys. One of the guys I came across was Robert McIntyre, and then, of course, I didn't pick him, and now he's tied for fourth. Whether it's him or, I don't know, somebody else, or there's some of those guys that the people ought to be respecting and keeping their eye on. We just don't see them a lot, but they are good golfers, and they're cut out for this course.
Yeah, Bobby Mack is he's a good player. He was a Ryder Cupper, and he's solid. He's actually a fun guy from Scotland, and has had a decent record in the Open. So that actually would have been an okay pick, but he hasn't necessarily been playing well of late. So that's interesting. Like Francesco Molinari, I don't think anyone was talking about Francesco Molinari. I mean, he's this kind of senior tour stuff, for him to be up there at 3 under par. Thomas Dietrich is another guy. I don't expect Thomas to. I think he's a live guy, if I'm not mistaken. He got off to a pretty good start in his career. I think he's on live now, and I haven't heard his name a whole lot, but great player. I don't know anything about Daniel Brown, and obviously Sungjae Im's a great player. So, yeah, there's some interesting ones. MJ Daffy. I had to listen to the broadcast just to come up with how do you pronounce Daffue? MJ Daffy. At least that's the way the guys were laying it out there. Henrik Stenson, who's got Fanny on the bag again this week. That's pretty interesting. And she was on the bag for Faldo's 3 claret jugs. So yeah, there's some interesting ones. And you got the English guys in there, Jordan Smith and Laurie Cantor, and as I already mentioned, Daniel Brown. So they're looking for any kind of salve there over in England after a tough loss in the World Cup.
Did you just say he's got Fanny on the bag?
Yes, I did. Did you like that?
Are you trying to get me fired?
I don't know what context in which you were referring to, PK, but where that crazy mind of yours goes. But Fanny Sunnison, one of the great caddies in caddy lore history for sure.
And I tell you, MJ Daffy, he's no duck.
There it is.
Got a rim shot, Yak? Let's go. Stop playing with your phone. We need rim shots for PK in here.
Alex Smalley and Ryan Gerard. Interesting group of players right there. Guys that have been, they're pretty unheralded, but they're playing really good golf. And it's a kind of a shame. Smalley was going around nearly flawless, and he hit his tee shot out of bounds on the last and made double. So was looking to get in the house at 5, gets in there at 3. Ryan Gerard's playing well. I know it's Scott Gerard's favorite player. I think he claims a distant relative there, even though it's not spelled the same. So
it's not.
But yeah.
So what do you think is in terms of playing yourself out of it? You've already brought up Justin Rose on day one. It seems like That's going to be a long haul for him to get himself back into contention. But what would you put? Would you say even? Where would you go?
No, I think even still plenty in this thing. After tomorrow, I think you've got to be, if the conditions, which the weather looks like it's going to stay pretty benign,
right?
Pretty mellow winds, pretty warm weather. I think it's actually going to cool down a little bit, but not get like blustery. So from that standpoint, I think right now, I would say, gosh, I think the plus ones, even some of the plus twos, are probably still in this thing. Jordan Spieth was going sideways all day, and he's battling back. He's still at plus two. If he could get one more coming in to get to plus one, I think he's still in play. These guys, I don't know that they're going to run away and hide. I think you could have a 66, out there and jump up the leaderboard. I mean, obviously those guys at plus ones and certainly at plus twos would have to do it, tomorrow, right? In order to play the weekend. But I really feel like this is one where you could see a guy drop a number on a Saturday and get himself in position and in contention. So we'll see. I love the course. Think it's set up great, but it is kind of a wild card, as Open Championship golf courses can be. Linksy, you can get a lot of crazy things, some crazy bounces, and just like that, Smalley's going around looking like he's going to tear this thing up 5 under par and turn and post 3. Right, it can happen just like that. So I think the other way around, you can see guys reel off a few birdies around here and drop a low number.
Scheffler birdied 4 of the first 6 holes. I mean, he was just absolutely on fire. He bogeyed 7 and seemed to blunt the momentum. 9 straight pars, another bogey at 17. He's playing 18. He's at 3 under. So the score puts him, in position, plenty good enough after one round. What do you think of the way he's playing? Are you buying him for the next 3 days or not, based on what you've seen?
Yeah, I mean, I think you got to watch out for Scottie Scheffler when he's in the top 10 at a major championship, right? When he's in position, he's a guy that is dangerous. And I kind of picked him up as he was making the turn, so I didn't see a lot of exciting golf out of Scheffler, as you just pointed out, all those pars. But he really didn't have a lot of stress either, and I think that's important early in a championship, is to minimize the stress. He's playing with Terrell Hatton. That guy is such a peach. I mean, the dude is talking to his club. He's talking to his ball. He's talking to the wind, the caddy, the dirt. Like, this guy is like such a crazy mental guy that, it's amazing that Scotty's able to stay calm amongst all of that. But yeah, Scotty has looked pretty stress-free, and he's missed some putts. I've watched him jam a couple of lip outs, like the hard lip out again. And that is, I don't remember him putting like that in the last few years, but he has had a sort of a rash of firm lip outs. And that's what I was talking about coming in, when he had the dust and things were just going his way, those sort of lipped in instead of lipping out. So, but look, Scotty's in a great spot. He's had the 2 bogeys, to go along with those 4 birdies. And so still got an opportunity here at 18 to see what he can do there. But I think Scotty's in good position, and I think you got to like his chances.
Did you see Matsuyama doing yoga out of that pot bunker?
How good was that? First of all, could you even get in that position about this point in your life, PK?
I'd have to take a drop.
Here's the other thing. Even if I could get into that position, could I get out? Or would I just be stuck on the edge of it? Somebody bring in a crane and lift me off the course.
Do those guys practice that? At that type of stance and whatnot?
I actually was thinking that very thing, PK, and I don't know that I've ever seen anybody in a practice round, get down Mr. Miyagi style and try to hit a shot out of those things. But look, I have seen them in practice rounds with the one knee and because they if they hit it there, they're going to try it because it's going to come up, right? But this is an interesting one. I've actually heard a lot of the better players be in their big interview sessions at majors say, "Hey, did you try this shot? Did you try hitting it out of the deep rough?" And almost exclusively, these guys will be like, "No, I'm not practicing the bads. I'm not going to practice to hit it in the spots I'm not supposed to." So I think that's interesting. I feel like, again, I would want to try it. Like, well, there used to be the guy that used to do the yardage books would always put a little section in, and it was, had an acronym, JICYFU. And just in case you foul up, of course, just didn't want to lead anyone astray. But just in case you foul up in this spot, there was a place in the yardage book for you, right? And I would just think, like, in these kind of situations where you've got unique like situations like a pop bunker or some deep heather or whatever, that you would want to go drop and just kind of see how the ball reacts coming out. But most of the guys don't. They'll, if it comes up in their practice round, they'll hit it. Otherwise, they'll just kind of play their shots. So I thought that was cool by Matsuyama, because not only were they talking about his stance, but they did comment like, where does his hands go? Because his hands were right up against that revetted face, and somehow he was able to put the club on the ball. Pretty amazing stuff. Wizardry stuff is really cool.
As far as our draft, I had Justin Rose on my list of people. I was actually thinking about taking him in the second round, and sure enough, Bob spent the first pick on him. And although I didn't like it at the time, I now realize Bob saved me from myself. Thanks, Bob.
Look, it would have been a sentimental pick. It would have been amazing, right? But yeah, and Rosie's played good. He's played good in majors.
Yeah, he has, and local knowledge. He's been good on the course. So why not? Why not take a flyer on him? But it was the first pick right out of the gate.
Here's an interesting one. So Bob and the caddy and I were on we have our texts going. I think this is exactly why they created social media, so people could participate. But we're still a little bit old school apparently. So we have our little private text while we're watching the coverage and stuff. And the caddy made an interesting observation. He said, I think local knowledge or really knowing this golf course might actually hurt you this week because it never plays like this. It's never burn out fast and all of that. Like typically it's, if you look back at some of the most recent, especially even Jordan Spieth in 17, it was cold and wet and green and lush and all that kind of stuff. And so when you go back and watch that Johnny Miller video from 76, it looked a lot like this, but these guys weren't around in 76. I was 2 years old. It's not like anyone has experience playing it like that. So I think it's pretty atypical conditions for this. And that makes a lot of sense. If you're used to, when we played an 8-man matchup at Ogden Country Club where they're going to host the Corn Ferry Tour in a couple of weeks, and they've got, because of the high temperatures we've had here, they've had a lot of water on the greens, and they're letting them grow out a little bit so that they can cut them down and get them firm and fast for the tournament. They don't want to lose them 2 weeks before with this extreme heat. I understand that. But Ogden Country Club is all about firm, fast greens. And to play that golf course where those greens, if you get above it and you can actually putt to the hole, all day long, it was like you'd leave them short. Even the guys that we were playing against that were members couldn't hit the putts hard enough because it's just, you're not used to it. And your mind says that putt should do this. And I think that was the point the caddy was trying to make for maybe guys like Fleetwood and Rose, guys that are very, very familiar and play here all the time. They might have a hard time adjusting to the way these conditions are, given what they're used to, how they're used to playing this golf course. So I think that was kind of an interesting little way to put it.
Well, Brian, we will leave it right there for now. I know you and Bob are going to be on all the shows all day long today and tomorrow with updates. We look forward to it. Thanks for joining us.
Good to be with you guys. Have a great weekend.
Brian Taylor, join us right here on The Zone. When we come back, Andy Bailey, NBA analyst, writer for Bleacher Report. He's ahead at 9 o'clock. We got more college football and NBA hoops on the way. Stay with us right here on The Zone.
Insurance isn't one size fits all. That's why drivers have enjoyed Progressive's Name Your Price tool for years now. With the Name Your Price tool, you tell them what you want to pay, and they'll show you options that fit your budget. So whether you're picking out your first policy or just looking for something that works better for you and your family, they make it easy to see your options. Visit Progressive.com. Find a rate that works for you with the Name Your Price tool. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
DJ PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Do you want Notre Dame to regularly play BYU? Questions up on our Facebook page, and there are a lot of positive comments here. A few of them. Nick says, heck yes, when I was a kid and played video games, I usually had Boise State, Notre Dame, and then one other team as my out-of-conference opponents. Let's get home and homes with Notre Dame for a long time. But only if they're home and homes, not 3-for-1s or whatever. Nick wants to play them as long as they're coming to Provo.
Yeah, I think that you play Notre Dame on Notre Dame's terms. It's like we do the show on your terms.
Turn me into Eric Parsegian.
Remember Eric Parsegian used to do those commercials, the triple option with the option on the tailgate, the wagon, the station wagon. You can open it as is. You could lower the door. Or there was one other option, and it was like the triple option, and he related to football. I was fascinated.
I don't remember that.
With the station wagon.
We had a station wagon growing up.
I bet you did.
They've all been replaced by SUVs now, but that was the weapon of choice for families back in the day.
We had a station wagon.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It folds down. It's a tailgate.
Yeah.
It's the term tailgating. This is where all this all starts. And it could open sideways. I remember that. I don't know. I don't remember a third one.
Well, you can open it with the window up or down. It had a little window to it.
Yeah.
This was the triple option. Yeah. We took a vacation to San Francisco and went through Yosemite with 8 people in a station wagon.
Did you stop in Yosemite or you just drive through it? Just kind of gawk from the car?
I think they stopped. I was like 14 years old, and we did my father drove, my sister and her husband, the soccer guy, were in the front. My mother was in the back. My grandmother was in the back seat. My mother's sister, who was a nun, she was there. And then me and my cousin Luann Ripa, who's a relative of old Kelly Ripa. She was like a year younger than me. So she was across the station wagon. And so her head would have been opposite mine. Her feet would have been right to my left. My head was next to her feet, my legs going the other way. And that's how we drove from Phoenix all the way up to San Francisco.
You didn't have the pop-up seats in the back.
No.
No, we didn't either.
No,
I thought that was pretty cool when I saw the pop-up seat.
We just laid across.
Yeah, I know. I get it. My brothers and I had to do the same thing.
One night, why would you have to do the same thing? You got 6 people could sit in the front. And you only had 5 people in your family.
Yeah, but we traveled with my grandparents sometimes. Yeah. So when we did, then in the backpack.
To the beach?
In the backpack.
Disneyland?
Believe it or not, to Sedona, Arizona, and the Grand Canyon.
And they wanted to save money, so we slept in the car. But I was 14, I didn't know any better. Now it'd be...
What?
Of course, they wouldn't have that now.
Right.
No seatbelts or anything. No Walkmans, no iPads, no iPods.
No, look out the window and talk.
Yeah.
Spell words off license plates and other stupid games.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think for BYU, you have to schedule carefully. Because if this playoff goes to 24, getting hammered by the Irish is not going to be a good thing. And you don't have to take the risk. This year, take the risk.
As long as it stays at 12.
And it is a 12 this year.
So
it's
the
not
argument
going
then,
to stay at 12.
So the argument the SEC has to, because it seems like they're getting outnumbered here and they go to 24, is it's going to be Cupcake City when we go to 24. Or the alternative is go to 10 league games so they only have to schedule 2, and that's how you get your 10 tough games.
I don't think they're going to go 10 league games. You have to schedule wisely if you're BYU. You can't, let's just go Notre Dame. Yeah, that sounds great because it's Notre Dame, especially if it's like a 2-for-1. The opportunities to go back to Notre Dame and win are going to be limited. And we know, I firmly believe, the number one reason that the committee was able to use in not putting BYU in this past year is they got destroyed. They were willing to give them a second chance, and the second chance against Texas Tech was worse than the first chance.
Yeah, neither were any good, but I get your point.
Right.
So and it was a road game, obviously. And playing down in Texas, it wasn't truly a road game, but it was a road game.
Well, the first one obviously
was a road game. Yeah, they never got the chance to show what they could do at home.
Yeah.
So then the scheduling is, so you're suggesting that pass on BYU and then schedule, which is what most of the league is doing, is schedule either high-end G5 or low-end Power 4 teams and just pad the schedule. I think Arizona State, they're going to Texas A&M, so they took the challenge. But Kansas State's playing Washington State. Utah's obviously playing Arkansas. Colorado's playing North Carolina. That's a collection of, Virginia Tech's playing Virginia. West Virginia's playing Virginia.
You have to schedule carefully when it goes to 24.
Cincinnati took Boston College. And that's what we're going to get for big non-conference games then.
Yeah, none of those you're going to get any buzz. You're only going to get ripped if you lose. And so you have to be careful. Schedule yourself to put yourself in the position to receive an at-large bid. Now, ultimately, win the conference and you don't have to worry about it. That's the great thing about Utah going to the Rose Bowl. They just had it right in front of them, and they did it.
We're talking about a world, though, where at 24 teams, you're assuming you're going to get at least 3 teams from the league in and maybe 4 or 5.
Yeah, I'm assuming minimum 3, yes. I would certainly be surprised on the 5 end of it. 4, I'd have to see. I don't think 4. I believe in basketball, they can't ever say this because it's not the way it's supposed to be, but I do think that they allot. Okay, this conference is worthy of X amount of teams.
So in the 16-team world,
on a
or 24-team world, 6 from the Big Ten, 6 from the SEC, that's 4 from the ACC, 4 from the Big 12. We're at 20. Notre Dame's 21. The group of 5 is 22, and there's 2 bids to go. That's why I'm thinking they'd be guaranteed 3, but they could get 4. And at that point, we'll have to see how the league shakes out. But through just a couple of years, Utah and BYU's odds of being in the top 3 or 4 in the league are pretty good.
I think so. That's why I'm saying schedule.
I mean, Utah didn't get there. They had quarterback injuries, so there were 4 teams at 7-2. We're assuming in this world that they all get in.
The BYU or the Utah season in 25 and a 24-team playoff. In my mind, that's absolutely playoff worthy. Particularly at that time, if they would have had a couple of weeks off. And Dampier gets himself healthier. Because look what he did when he had more than a couple of weeks in the Vegas Bowl. He dominated, man. He not just played well, he dominated.
Tech, Utah, and BYU were all ranked, if you're looking at a 24-team playoff.
I would think all 3 of them would get in.
At the end of 16, they were ranked 15, 13, and 4 in the case of Texas Tech.
I don't think there's any question in my mind.
What the team that's on the bubble is Houston at 21. Right. That's the bubble team for the 4th.
And then what do they do at 24 with the conference final? Do they eliminate it at that point because they need to start things earlier? Which I'm totally fine if they do. I'm not a big conference final game.
If they got rid of those title games and just said the standings are what they are, if you back up one week, Tech is still 4, BYU's 11, and Utah's 15.
And you get into it.
Yeah, nothing really changes there.
You take if they need that week to start the tournament, they start the tournament that week.
And they've definitely talked about that.
And that's fine. I'm 100% fine with that.
And that may really be the hitch with the SEC is they make so much money off their title game, and you're going to 24, and the only way to do that is take away the title game. No. Let's go to 16 and not take the title game away.
Start your season a week earlier and you can play the title game.
That has certainly been discussed.
But there's no need to play the title game. And you'll recoup the money by sending all these teams to the playoff anyway.
That's the argument.
Right. And you will.
Sounds weird to be in a world where you walk away from playing Notre Dame, you walk away from the excitement, and you walk away from if Notre Dame's regularly going to be part of the conference TV package. The thing is, though, if they leverage their deal, so it's like, well, it's a home game, so it's part of Notre Dame's TV package, and it's a neutral game, then maybe the value really never gets delivered to the Big 12 TV package. And I'm a fan of where things stand right now. Like, Brett Yormark, you're selling the league. Get on the league and sell it to Notre Dame. Maybe they'll play Tech. Maybe they'll play Utah. Maybe they'll play somebody else. I mean, it's partly factored by the quality of the team, but it's partly they like to go play in different parts of the country. Well, the Big 12's a national league now. You can go play wherever.
Notre Dame can dictate its terms.
Yeah.
See, I just don't think that you get a big buzz from losing to Notre Dame because these ACC teams haven't gotten big buzzes, and they play Notre Dame regularly. And what have they gotten out of it?
The way to get the big buzz and what they do in basketball and there are comparisons between where football is going and where basketball is only if they go less human-driven and you end up using more of a computer model.
Which that won't.
Because we're assuming that BYU is going to be we're assuming Notre Dame is going to be somewhere between pretty good and really good as long as they keep their coach. He's young and he's good, and he seems to have it going, and it doesn't look, like they're going to have a bunch of 7-5 seasons.
No.
They've gotten stuck in that before with other people, but
looks like that's changed.
Especially given the quality of competition on their schedule, it looks like, man, you ought to pencil them in for at least 10-2, which is what they did last year, and USC's going off the schedule.
So that's why it sounds good to be playing Notre Dame every year, but I just don't know if it's in your best interest. Because if you get worked, it's going to come down to, wow, look at your big games, and you got hammered. And then in this conference, if you lose a couple of close ones, which could happen will happen,
you could jeopardize your 11 or 15 ranking.
It doesn't seem to me that it's worth it.
This isn't you. This is me. You're the one ready to game the system. I'm always ready to game the system and backdoor it, and you're always like, be bold. If you're that good, you can take on the best and go for it anyway. We're switching roles here.
Well, you will have an opportunity to take
IDs.
out the best. You're not going to backdoor a playoff.
You're not going to backdoor a playoff.
And so you'll have plenty of opportunity to prove how good you are, but you've got to get there first. And we know that the system, to at least to agree, and maybe it'll be mitigated, will be stacked against you, because if it's favored toward the Big Ten and SEC, by definition, it has to be stacked against the other ones.
Well, you heard me.
You can't have both. You can't have one. You have to have both.
You heard me go with the assumption that there's 6 bids for them and 4 bids for you, and then there's a couple that could end up 7 for them and 4 for you.
Yeah.
If it's 8.
So you
3.
have to be smart.
Oof.
You have to do what's in the best interest of your program, and simply saying, "Yeah, we're going to take on Notre Dame. Oh, we're tough. We'll put our hand in the dirt." That sounds good. But that doesn't mean it's the right thing to do.
Now, the thing is, when it goes to 24, does the expectation still stay at be in the tournament? Or does the expectation
you got to get there first before you start worrying about anything else? Or does
the expectation come, you've got to host games, and you've got to win games, and you've got to be in the 16 or in the 8?
I don't know. I mean, I think that varies. But a program like BYU is going to vary year to year. A program like Ohio State, it's not going to vary year to year. There's just a limited amount of programs.
Their variance,
you could say.
Ohio State's variance is quarterfinals in a bad year, title in a good year.
And so there's a few that BYU and Utah are not on that level. But can they get to that level sometimes? Yes. Are they going to be on that level consistently? No. So then they haven't yet. Maybe they can.
The argument for people who want to see the game then is, hey, there will be yes years and no years. And in no year, you just take your beating, and that's the way it goes. But in a year where, you can get to the level, you get the win over the Irish, and that's what helped propel you to that level. The confidence you build doing that, the win it puts on your resume that gets you the better seeding.
Sure, but what are you going to do?
20%
of the time?
To be determined. I don't know. I mean, that 20% is not a bad number. That could be the guess. I mean, in the 7 games we've seen so far, 2 and 5, that's, I guess, 28% of the time. And BYU is in a better position, presumably, right? I mean, 3 of those games were in the 90s and the WAC era.
You just told me Notre Dame's in a better position, too.
Well, Notre Dame was actually in a really good position in that era for the first 3.
But they're in a better position now.
For the next 3, it was probably not that special. Holtz still had it going pretty good at that point. It
sounds good to play. Yeah, let's play Notre Dame. We're going to play them.
It always sounds good.
But I just disagree.
You worry about playing them 8 times in 10 years.
I just don't know that's in the best interest of your program. It clearly isn't in the best interest of USC's program, so somehow you think it's in the best interest of your program?
Will you get busted if it gets out, which you have to assume that it will, that you're turning down games? Then it comes, we'll see you in the Big 12.
Is USC going to get busted?
No, because they're USC, but you're not USC.
Right.
They carry cachet. And, if they're playing Oregon, Ohio State, and Michigan, they're getting games, Penn State and whoever else, they're getting games that you're not getting in the Big 12. Maybe
but they're
you get
USC,
1 or 2.
So they have a higher standard.
Maybe you get 1 or 2 big games in the Big 12.
Oh, I disagree on that. Man, you are downgrading the Big 12. You only get 1 big game in the Big 12? That's ridiculous.
They're not playing Texas Tech. They are playing Utah.
Well, we're not talking about this year. We're talking
but this
generally.
Is a given year. Well, in any given year, the leagues are so big, the teams that are good, you could be missing them and they're off your schedule.
Except SC is going to play that killer schedule every year. You just said that. Now you just said these leagues are so big in any given year. But for SC, they're going to play big dogs every year. But in the Big 12, which is almost the same size, maybe it is the same size. I can't even remember.
No, it's not, but it's close enough.
Yeah, it's 16 to 18.
It's 16 to 18, right.
But somehow in a smaller league in any given year, but SC is going to do it every year when you just said in these big leagues. You're contradicting yourself.
But the bias in the Big Ten is that USC's good, Oregon's good, Michigan's good, Ohio State's good, Indiana's good, Penn State, Washington aren't that far away. Nobody looks at the Big 12 that way. Even if it were true, they wouldn't look at it that way. It's Texas Tech.
So you have no faith in the committee. It's just the way it's going to be. So why even try? I mean, because the bias is there. Why even try?
Because I think that Notre Dame is going to be good, and if you beat them, nobody can say anything.
Sure, then play and then schedule SC and then schedule Alabama. Because if you beat them, nobody can say anything. Why stop with just one? If you can beat Notre Dame, you can beat those other schools too. So why not schedule them? Go all the way, baby.
Because Alabama won't schedule you.
BYU can find big-time teams to schedule.
Until Lincoln Riley leaves, SC's not scheduling anybody.
Except they did. So
he just took
I don't know.
Notre Dame off the schedule.
You can decide. Apparently, you have an insight into what Lincoln Riley is thinking, but I don't. I know that I was told by BYU that their AD at SC said, we've got to get them because look at the crowd when they play up the freeway at the Rose Bowl. And so suddenly that changes? No. Money will be there. The point is BYU, and if you're going to argue that, you're going to lose. BYU can schedule big games every year. They can schedule as many big games, and there's only 3 of them. They can schedule as many big games as they want because teams want to play BYU because especially when...
If they have seats to sell, they put butts in seats.
And it's an absolute fact. I've been on the road with them a million times.
And a lot of powerhouses don't have seats to sell, so it doesn't matter. But some powerhouses do, and SC's one of them. SC does need butts in seats.
Yeah, and so
Oregon doesn't.
I think Washington does.
I would agree with that. Washington does.
I mean, their stadium's pretty small, but Oregon's scheduled BYU,
and they also win. And they also win more.
And they have an opportunity. And BYU can get as many big games as they want. So if you only have one big game in the Big 12, wow, we need to get Harlan and Santiago on and have. DJ said, you're only going to play 1, maybe 2 big games. In fact, their camps are opening here in a few weeks. Let's go down and ask Scally. Let's go over to Kalani and say, because you guys should play Notre Dame, shouldn't you? Because you're only going to get 1, maybe 2 big games. That's a quote. Will you ask them that?
That is already, we don't need to ask them because it's already backed up by the selection committee.
No, will you ask them? Yes or no?
Utah
so
was
you
not
want to answer
counted
the question.
as a big game by the selection committee last year when BYU won it.
Well,
they didn't get any credit for it. They got left out.
We're talking at 24. We're not talking in the past. We're talking in the future.
If it's a 4-bid league, then they can grease their schedules because it does look like they're in the top 3.
You told me that's where they're going.
It does look like they can stay in the top 3 or 4 in this league.
You don't have much respect for the Big 12. I think that's what I'm taking it from.
I think it's already clear the selection committee has no respect for the Big 12.
In the past, you got me there. But we're talking about the future. I look ahead. I don't look behind. And the committee, whoever's on the committee, when that thing goes to 24, they ain't going to be on it. So I have no idea what those people are going to think because I don't even know who those people are, let alone what they're going to think. I have no clue.
Well, you already think they're going to dismiss BYU because BYU is going to lose 47-10.
If they lose 47-10, I don't think that's going to be an advantage. If you view that as a controversial take, I don't know what to say. If you lose to anybody 47-10, I'm pretty sure every single person on the planet is going to view that as a negative. Yes.
Andy Bailey, NBA analyst and writer for Bleacher Report at the top of the hour. Stay with us.
Welcome to This is Jay Scott and Ben Anderson.
Covering the Jazz for the Deseret News, she is Sarah Todd. I don't think Jackson Hayes is the solution. Nurk, I'm not sure if he's the solution either. What do you think the Jazz do as far as center going forward?
None of that is going to be a solution long term, right? But anybody that thinks that the Jazz going into this particular season being a legitimate title contender, that's not realistic. It doesn't have to be that the Jazz have their perfect center for the timeline for this team right now. This Jazz team needs to be able to prove, as constructed, that they're able to win games. The expectation is still, you make the playoffs, you definitely need to be a play-in team like at worst. Yeah, down the road, the center position is going to need to be fortified a little bit, but that can happen over the next few years kind of as they ramp their way up through the Western Conference.
Catch Jake and Ben afternoons from 2 to 6 on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Question up on our Facebook page. Should star players like LeBron retire as a great player past their prime? I just don't think that as much money as they make, as awesome as their jobs are, as much as it feeds this competitive desire, it's just not realistic to think people are going to go out on top. I don't know if we could even name 10 players, I mean 5, who've really gone out on top. It's just so rare. You've got to allow them to slip 10 or 20% from their prime before they're going to be convinced they can retire or should retire, and they actually do it. To me, LeBron's finally reached that point. You know, this is the first time in his career a team has said, hey, we're not building around you, we're building around this guy. Doncic with the Lakers. So we're at a new point in LeBron's career. I would still be intrigued. I think he was good enough. I'd be intrigued to watch him play in Cleveland or Philly and chase a championship, even though his role isn't awesome. His role's still going to be pretty big, even though he's not the guy.
I'm not so sure that that's just it. I think there's other factors that go into it.
Hit me with some others.
Well, Byron Scott on some podcasts said that the phone isn't ringing for LeBron, and part of the reason it's not is because teams don't want to put up with the feces of Rich Paul. That has nothing to do with his ability.
Yeah, I can see where there's some teams who are like, I don't want to put up with that. I get where teams would say that.
Yeah.
I'm not super excited to see LeBron in Miami or Golden State. It seems like a series of 82 exhibitions with no chance of really going anywhere.
Yeah, but you told me that you liked watching him with the Lakers, and he was intriguing because he won a first-round playoff series. Well, they can win a first-round playoff series. The bar that you set for the Lakers is not the bar you're setting with Miami.
I agree. That was also then, and this is now. Now that I've seen
What's the difference?
Although it's fine, well, I think he's going to slip.
What do you mean? Now that you've seen that, you saw that for several years.
Yeah, and they were a mess in there, and he had his one championship. But yeah, they were. But it also,
so now you're done with it?
Well, I think
after 5 years of seeing the same thing, the 6th year, that's too much for me. I can't take it.
I agree. There's always a line where it's drawn and you cross it.
You can't agree with a question. You can agree with a statement.
Well, your question had a presumed answer to it, and I'm agreeing with the presumed answer.
What was my presumed answer?
That I've had enough. I don't need to see him.
I just love poking holes in your consistencies.
I don't need to see him with the Lakers anymore. I would watch him with Cleveland and Philly, and if it blew up, I would stop watching him.
That's a different story. I'm talking about, because I agree with you. The chances are, as far as winning goes, appear on paper now today higher with Philly and Cleveland than they do with Miami. Understand that,
right? And that's why I'd like to watch him in Cleveland and Philly. I would be more likely to turn on the TV, and I hope he comes back and does one of those two things.
But the story in Miami is the story we've seen for the last half decade.
Yeah, and I got tired of watching with the Lakers, and I wasn't.
But you didn't get tired just watching it 2 months ago?
I was intrigued that they won the playoff series with Houston in the first round. I was
Which didn't have Kevin Durant.
I know. Yeah, Houston,
and Durant's another guy.
And they've got
just
their
keep going around.
They've got their flaws. I don't know that the Eastern Conference has its flaws. It's not super deep with a bunch of great teams, and I don't know how far Cleveland and Philly go with them. Maybe they'd go out early.
Yeah, I think you're overestimating Cleveland.
I may well be. That may have been their shining moment against mediocre competition and their high water mark, and they can't get back to it. That may well be. But nonetheless, I'd watch to see if it was or it wasn't. And I'm totally with you. Should I be going, well, I mean, neither one of us gamble, but if I were a gambler, is that the kind of bet I'd be like, oh, Cleveland's going to the finals now? No, I'm not sure I'd convince myself of that.
So you would not watch Miami with Giannis and LeBron? The league will force you to watch Miami You have to make a conscious decision like you did in 1999 with the RSL team.
2005.
Oh, 2005. He remembers when he made that conscious decision.
2005, 2006.
Jay Scott, the manifesto is for you if you're listening. And you would have to make a conscious decision not to watch because they would shove that in your face a thousand times. They would.
Face. The thing about LeBron, the thing about Giannis is he doesn't play that much, and it seems to be going down. Certainly last year did, but he's only played 70 games once since the pandemic.
And Philly is going to be much better. Giannis is Cal Ripken compared to Joel Embiid.
So Embiid's out, but they've still got like 4 players I want to see play.
And they never go anywhere with those guys.
Well, Brown just got there. And Edgecombe's only been there 1 year.
Brown went nowhere with Boston. That's why they got rid of him. No, he wanted to be the man.
He won a title. He went to multiple conference finals.
When he was a backup in terms of being the man.
When he was the number 2 guy on the team, not the number 1 guy. The backup.
Well, in terms of being the man.
When you say backup, you're usually down to like the 6th guy on the team.
When I said in terms of.
You got yourself
We
back.
make a big deal about pronouns. I think we need to start making a big deal about prepositions.
Prepositions,
in
presumed
terms
answers.
Of,
but
that's a conjunction.
Also.
Conjunctions.
And. In.
You only heard and stopped when I started the preposition.
Yeah.
Prepositions are very important in the English language.
In that case, on that occasion.
Whereby thereas.
Oh, it's a legal document?
Yes.
Why do they have such jargon? Nobody talks like that.
Court cases, precedent. That's
we were
why.
using them in the 1800s and they haven't changed.
Whenever you hear a date in the courtroom, it's always on or about, just in case there's a typo and they missed out. So on or about. You got to throw in the or about to cover yourself. Andy Bailey, NBA analyst, writer for Bleacher Report. What does he think of the Summer League? What does he think of these offseason moves? What does he think LeBron ought to do? Well, you got questions for Andy next. Stay with us.